stretch of Highway 48 in Wisconsin, a late-night drive home for General Marquis Kendrick Taylor took a dark turn, revealing troubling intersections of authority and race in America. The black, decorated U.S. Army general had just returned from 2 years of overseas missions. Exhausted yet eager, he drove through familiar streets, savoring the small-town calm he cherished after years of combat. As he drove, a patrol car appeared in his rearview mirror, uncomfortably close. Initially assuming the cruiser would pass, Taylor felt uneasy as it remained fixed on his bumper. Suddenly, police lights flashed, flooding the highway with red and blue. Confused but calm, Taylor pulled over, adhering to his military training to stay composed. The officer who approached was identified as Officer Scott Winters, a burly Caucasian man radiating hostility. Without greeting or explanation, he demanded Taylor's license and registration. Taylor complied politely, introducing himself as General Marquis Kendrick Taylor in hopes of easing any tension. However, Winters barely glanced at the ID before ordering him out of the vehicle. The situation escalated rapidly. Winters grabbed Taylor's arm aggressively and pinned him against the hood of his car without provocation. Bewildered yet composed, Taylor questioned what was happening. "What's going on, officer? I haven't done anything wrong," he protested. Winters coldly replied that Taylor was under arrest for resisting. Bystanders began to gather, recording the altercation on their phones. Shock and disbelief were evident on their faces as they witnessed the aggressive treatment of a respected military leader. To Winters, Taylor was merely a suspect, a target, rendering his rank and identity irrelevant in that moment. As a decorated general found himself shackled on a quiet road, the painful reality of racial bias surfaced starkly. This encounter served as a painful reminder of the injustices faced by black men in America, even those who have served their country honorably. The situation intensified when Officer Jennifer Hayes arrived on the scene. A petite but seasoned officer, she recognized General Taylor immediately and sensed something was amiss. Stepping in to de-escalate the situation, she contrasted sharply with Winters' approach. Witnesses recorded the incident as tensions mounted. One shouted in frustration about systemic injustice and the treatment of black individuals by law enforcement. Hayes removed Taylor's cuffs and quietly apologized for what had transpired. Yet Taylor's pain and anger were palpable as he addressed Winters directly. "This isn't just about me," he said firmly. "This is about a system that allows this to keep happening." The arrival of Sergeant Daniels only added weight to the moment. He listened intently as Hayes explained what had occurred. Daniels offered an apology to Taylor but faced immediate skepticism from the crowd. "How many investigations have people like me waited for?" Taylor challenged him, highlighting the systemic failures that persisted despite promises of reform. As news spread rapidly through social media, hashtags like Justice for Marquis began trending alongside clips of the incident that showcased a national hero being humiliated in his own country. Civil rights organizations seized upon this moment to advocate for comprehensive reform. While media coverage swirled around him, General Marquis Kendrick Taylor chose to retreat into privacy with his family. His wife Cynthia and their 2 teenage children were deeply affected by the incident. His son James expressed outrage at how anyone could treat his father with such disrespect. Taylor explained somberly that it didn't matter who he was. To Officer Winters, he was simply guilty based on appearance alone. Despite intense media scrutiny following the incident, he focused on family life away from public attention. Meanwhile, nationwide protests erupted in response to Taylor's wrongful detainment. Crowds filled streets across America chanting slogans demanding justice and accountability from law enforcement agencies. Inside the local police station where Officer Winters worked, tensions ran high as he faced suspension without pay while Chief Collins promised an investigation into his conduct amid mounting public pressure. As protests continued outside, Winters found himself isolated and ostracized by friends and neighbors who distanced themselves from him after witnessing his actions against General Taylor. Haunted by memories of that night and confronted by media scrutiny, Winters wrestled with guilt over how he had treated a man who served his country selflessly. He realized that his assumptions had been shaped by biases he had never questioned before. In quiet moments alone, Winters reflected on how his badge had transformed from a symbol of duty into one of shame, an emblem of prejudice rather than protection. Recognizing that change was necessary for redemption, Winters requested a meeting with General Taylor to confront the man he had wronged directly. At their meeting in the police station, tension filled the air as they sat down for an honest conversation about accountability and bias. "You didn't see a man who had given everything to protect his country," Taylor stated firmly. Winters attempted to apologize but struggled against the weight of Taylor's words. "This isn't just about you and me, it's about a system that allows this to keep happening." For the first time during their conversation, Winters grasped how deeply ingrained prejudice influenced his decisions and actions as an officer, realizing he had failed to recognize humanity beyond skin color. Moved by this revelation, Winters committed himself to change while acknowledging it would take more than words to make things right moving forward. As General Marquis Kendrick Taylor prepared to address growing crowds outside advocating for justice and reform, Officer Winters understood that his personal reckoning was only one part of a larger movement demanding accountability from law enforcement agencies across America. In weeks following this pivotal encounter between them both, Taylor emerged not only as a victim but also as an advocate for systemic change against racial bias within policing practices nationwide, a voice calling out against injustice while inspiring others along similar paths toward healing through understanding and empathy amidst adversity faced together within society today. Lessons to be learned. 1. The importance of recognizing bias in authority. The encounter between General Marquis Kendrick Taylor and Officer Scott Winters highlights the critical need for individuals in positions of authority to confront their biases. Officer Winters' immediate judgment of Taylor based solely on his race illustrates how preconceived notions can lead to unjust treatment. This incident serves as a reminder that authority figures must actively work to recognize and challenge their biases to prevent the escalation of situations that could lead to unnecessary conflict. By fostering awareness and understanding, we can create a more equitable society where all individuals are treated with respect, regardless of their background. 2. The power of advocacy and community support. The public's reaction to General Taylor's wrongful detainment underscores the significance of community advocacy in addressing systemic injustices. As bystanders recorded the incident and voiced their outrage, it became clear that collective action is essential in demanding accountability from those in power. The subsequent protests and social media campaigns demonstrated how communities can come together to amplify voices that have been marginalized. This incident serves as a powerful reminder that when individuals